Alright, today I got a really quick tip to try and help you out. I had a reset switch up at the front of my lanes up there that was not working, wasn't resetting everything. I tested the switch tested out fine, came back to the back, everything looked fine on the next gen box. So I narrowed it down that it's going to be in the wiring, the actual harness, with some help from an associate. Kind of led me in the right direction. But what it is I've got this plug right here, and guess you're getting a little overexposed. With this plug here, it seems to be having some of the wires are not communicating at it, but my issue was that I didn't have a voltmeter long enough cords to reach from one end to the other to see which cable was bad. So I ended up taking this piece apart right here. I wanted to separate it. I did test all the cables up to here, so these cables tested good. But like I said, because it's a short cable here, I was able to reach it with my meter. But the issue was this longer one that ran all the way up to the front of the lanes. I had to find some way to test it. So what I did was, since my testing meter wouldn't reach all the way from one side of the lane, from the bowler's area to the pin setter area, I decided, it just came to me all of a sudden, why not turn one of these wires into my testing end. So I'm going to take you up front. I'm going to show you what I ended up doing, because I did disconnect it from the machine. So this is just a loose wire. Should be getting no power, no signal, nothing like that coming from the ball lift area or the Faldatex or the actual ball lift motor. So I'm going to take you up front, show you what I did up front. Alright, so up inside here, see if I can get the lighting proper for you. Wow, just getting lots of overexposure here. There we go, I just went and cleaned some haze off the lens. But what it did was, so I've got my colored section of wires coming through here. There's the colored ones. So that is the same group off the bank in the back, the terminal in the back that I was showing you. But what I'm having issues with is lighting. That's one of my main issues I'm having. Get a little dimmer here. I've got a green and white coming through right here. The green and white, those are going to my, what would be an odd lane. So my odd lane reset is having issues. And I needed to test these, because the actual switch up underneath here, the reset switch, it tested out fine once I disconnected the wires. The wires coming out of the bottom of it, the green and white, those tested fine, clear back to the plug. So, and we narrowed it down to the long harness that runs all the way from the front to the back. So what I needed to check was these green and whites right here. Well, I know my red and blacks are good, because that's from my even lane, and the reset on it's working fine. So, like I said, everything's disconnected in the back. So I had to take a paper clip. I'm going to go ahead and put it in, and then I'll show you. I got two paper clips here. I got a very short one, or very close together narrow one. And then I took a wider, kind of spacing them apart the same distance, or enough to cross the terminals, to spread out for those terminals. So I'm going to go ahead and install them, because I need two hands to kind of do this, and then I'll show you where I placed them. Alright, it's kind of hard to see up here in this dark hole, but I took so I can bring it out in some regular light, I took the larger wire and I bypassed and ran around. So the larger wire goes to the larger piece of paper clip, goes to both of the outside terminals. Trying to get some better light here. The smaller paper clip, you can see, goes into the two inside terminals. So basically I've made one giant long wire out of each of them. So my red and my white, which are my two outside wires here, those actually will create one wire all the way back to the front for testing purposes. And my black and my green will create one long wire, since I made these jumpers with these paper clips. So now I can test of the green and white wires which ones are bad. Alright, so now we're back here at the other end. I've got this terminal here, and I can see, get you some lighting, probably won't benefit you much, but I can see all my colors of the wires. I'm sure they're kind of blended here for how close I am with this image. But I've got my meter. I've got it on audible, so whenever I touch my two together, it starts making the sound. Okay, so this is just for testing purposes. So now I've got I know where my green is at, just here. And I know where my red is at, which is this one. So there you can see I'm actually testing the green wire, because I know my red is a known good, but I'm testing the length of that green. I'm just showing you this test because whenever I test the other one, it's not going to test bad. Because just to let you know, I took all the wires apart on everything, tested everything, finally put it all back together, and lo and behold, the reset started working again. So it must have just been some oxidization on a terminal, or maybe one of my terminals just wasn't making a good connection. So now I'm going to test my other one. I'm going in on the green first, which was the other wire that I need to diagnose, and I'm using my black, which is the known good, which makes my loop to come back to here, back to this position, and we're still good. I was just showing you a way that I tested these wires. Because once I did that and I tested them, and I was like, okay, I've tested every single wire, I've tested the resets, everything seems to be good. I even did something where I swapped the next gens from side 6 to side 5. It's still, the problem followed it whenever I moved 5, the bad side, to 6. The problem followed, the reset didn't work. So I was assuming that it is in the wiring, so I went clear back and even tested this wire here. And once I tested it, it tested good. So it's just one of those bumps in the road. But I hooked it back up, and everything on the reset started working. I just thought I'd show you the way that I jumped the wire to test it all the way through back to here, so I could actually find out whether it was a bad green wire or the bad white wire.